Hi everyone, today is Tuesday, September 8th, and I just wanted to say greetings from the global economic north. Today's video is actually going to be called Canada Governance, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about this problem with our governance in Canada. And for people who are looking at moving to Canada because they want to just start a new life, I would recommend that you actually do some research and look somewhere else. Well, maybe not necessarily look somewhere else, but just do your research. And this guy named Omar Khadr, or Khadr, K-H-A-D-R. I don't know how you pronounce that. But from what I've read on the internet from different sources, one of the problems in Canada is that there are a lot of very uneducated people in Canada. Now, you don't necessarily have to be university educated, but I would encourage, for example, people from my community to get involved in the university system and just start by looking at who's actually there, and then look at how they actually produce the knowledge and how people are actually making a good living from, for example, talking about somebody who looks like me but doesn't look like me but is making a lot of money. So this Omar Khadr person, when he was 15, he was involved in some kind of military exercise, and he ended up killing an American soldier. Now, I don't know if he was part of the Canadian contingent or if he was in, the Middle East somewhere. Like, I haven't looked into that, and I don't know if I'm really going to look into it, because the thing that drew me to this person was that he was a convicted terrorist, but yet the Canadian government, under the Liberal Party of Canada, still granted this guy $10.5 million because his charter rights were violated. So does that mean that people who look like me, that have been violenced by racial profiling and biomedical profiling, I mean, that's a violation of my charter rights. So does that mean that I can get my $10.5 million paycheck as well? Like, what is going on in Canada? And what I find is that under the Liberal Party of Canada, first of all, I don't vote Liberals. When I was ignorant and I didn't know any better, I used to talk about them in a positive way. But when I went to university and when I was looking into some policy things and legal things, I was like, why would anyone even vote for this thing called Liberal Party of Canada? Especially people who look like me, and especially people who are from Jamaican parentage or Jamaican heritage like me. We should not be voting for this thing called Liberal Party of Canada. So this Omar Khadr person, like, he was given $10.5 million, and this was money that came from, tax money that they collect in Canada. So that really bothered me because I was like, I've had some experiences with racial profiling, and, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't walk around saying F the police, but I know that there's systemic problems because, for example, why do I even have to pay for my education in university, when I am living in a so-called developed nation? So there's a lot of problems in Canada. So I was just looking up, who these lawyers were that represented this Khadr person, and I was just doing an internet search, and I don't know if you can see this, like, my camera's not that great. I'm trying to figure out how to sort of improve my videos, especially when I make citations. I want to be able to show you the citations. So I'm going to show you like just some of the stuff that comes up about this Kandahar guy. And what had happened is the lawyers that worked on the case for this Kandahar guy, one of them, I think it was 4 of them now. I think he had a team of 30 lawyers, and 4 of them have been given appointments from the Liberal Party of Canada. And one of them was actually appointed a judge in Alberta. And I thought to myself, like, how come the deans of the law schools aren't standing up and, like, going to the courts and saying, look, you guys don't do this, filing the counter legislation, fixing the problem with the legal system? Like, they're just all sitting there doing nothing. So how come they're not paying attention to stuff like this? So let me just show you. Trudeau government, it doesn't come out very, appoints former Omar Khadr lawyer, and it says Kandahar lawyers appointed judge by the Trudeau government. Like, you can't really see it, and then that's supposed to be one of his lawyers, as Dennis any person. And it makes you wonder, because when I was in university, one of my interests was actually law. And I tried writing that LSAT exam, and I was like, I sat there and I said, this is actually really disrespectful to clients. Like, you don't treat clients like this. And they were asking these questions. They wanted you to answer them in like 30 seconds. And when you're actually working in advocacy work, especially legal advocacy, you have to be able to have the time to map your thoughts, make citations to different legislations, and then design your approach. And I tried to write the LSAT, I can't remember how many times. And then I said, you know what, I'm just gonna like look to another profession, because this legal thing, it doesn't make any sense. And then when you see some of these lawyers that go through that system, like, it's beyond me how they even pass the test. Like, when you write the LSAT, anyways, the LSAT that I wrote, I was like, you know what, this is really disrespectful to clients, and this is actually for somebody who I think has something wrong with their brain. And they were asking questions that weren't even relevant to, like, the legal profession. I don't know what they were trying to get at, but I think they actually should just ban that LSAT thing, because it comes across as an exam for the functionally retarded. And then when you see some of these lawyers out in the field after they get their degrees and certification, some of them can't even articulate a sentence, they can't paraphrase what you've said, and they just want to collect the money and rush through things, or collect the money and do nothing. So I have my questions about the legal profession, and in Canada, I just decided to go into policy and to see how the policy actually works. So yeah, this Omar Khadr person, he's really making a farce of a farce of Canada. And I just want to show you what this guy looks like. I'm just trying to bring up the picture of him on my computer. Oh, I think I'm bringing up the wrong one. Yeah, no, here, look at this picture. Like, Omar Khandar's lawyer appointed judge by the government in Alberta, and that's Alberta, Canada. And this is this Omar guy, and that's the lawyer. And you know, for people that want to move to Canada and think that Canada is this utopia and very multicultural, like, it's it depends on the leadership that is actually in power. And even that process of, like, they talk about these philosophies related to being democratic and nation building and being, pledging allegiance to, like, the country that you were born in, or, you know, from me personally, I'm part of the African diaspora and I ended up in Canada, but I have Jamaican parentage, so I have Jamaican heritage, and I'm trying to connect myself back to Africa. So it's a process, but you have to pay attention to this thing called governance, because they elect these people. And if you look at the Liberal Party of Canada, like, they elect these people that, they have, like, their little Pakistani person or their little Chinese person, or these people of color tokens. And then you look at the policies that are being passed, and some of this stuff, like, all of a sudden you have $1 billion to put towards this stupid COVID thing, and that is just wrong. Like, the way that they're economizing disease and trying to make money from a bunch of these students sitting there creating these things. Like, how come the deans aren't speaking up and doing something? So I went into policy and I was like, let me just see what this is all about. Maybe I could write some stuff about legislations. And it makes you really wonder. It really makes you wonder, because I'm not a Liberal Party of Canada supporter. And when some of these people, like, I live in a very diverse, when I say diverse, a very racially diverse community. I used to live in a very white part of Canada, but I just got sick and tired of seeing, like, a generic culture. And the weather was really harsh, like the winters. Like, I can't function when it's really cold and there's a lot of snow for like 8 months. Like, I couldn't function in that environment anymore, so I had to move to another part, or I chose to move to another part of Canada where it was actually a little bit warmer, and I wanted to be closer to the Caribbean. So it really makes you wonder. And this Kandahar guy, like, he's smirking and he's laughing, and how come he was given, like, $10.5 million Canadian when he was doing acts that are considered to be something called terrorism? And then you have racial profiling, like it's a violation of my charter rights. So I'm just making this video to say, pay attention to this thing called governance. And for my viewers that are outside of Canada, we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of problems with just the enforcement of what would be known as civil rights in the United States. We call them constitutional rights in Canada. And if you're a person who looks like me and you don't vote the Liberal Party of Canada, and you actually are educated about some things like Native history in Canada, nation building, the violence, the use of sort of building this country on legal fiction, and that was a term that was used in an interview that I was watching with people from the Native community, and they said, this country's been built on legal fiction. Why do you guys find that acceptable? And I was like, yeah, that's true. It was found on legal fiction. So people outside Canada, we have a lot of problems. And, I see the media saying these things like a lot of people from the U.S. want to move to Canada because they want to get away from Trump. But that tells me that that is actually a very low-level, slanted version of journalism, and that's actually very dangerous. And I've looked into some things related to policy, and if I was in the United States, I, as a black person, I identify as black. I walk black in my life. I don't do interracial crap. And I don't push sort of the way I live my life in other people's faces. But if I was in the United States, I would be voting Republican. And actually, this is not based on just somebody telling me to vote Republican, but as I started to get more policy education, especially in the Canadian context, I was like, I need to look into, for example, what happens in Jamaica, what's happening in like Western Africa, and I need to find out what's happening in the United States. And when I did my own policy stuff, I was starting to find that the legislation that was filed against slavery in the United States, it was actually by the Republican Party. And so I was reading all this stuff, and I was like, this is really interesting. Like, these Democrats, they just looked a little bit like that Bill Clinton guy. I don't like him. And then I don't like when people say things like, oh, that person is black because they can dance. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't speak uneducated. I don't walk around and bash the black community, but have my white male on my side or my Asian female on my side. Like, I don't do stuff like that, right? So, I was really starting to wonder, and so I wrote a paper and I took it to one of my professors, and I said, I'm finding this stuff. Am I on the right track here, or have I really lost it? And he was actually white, and he was from America, the USA, and he said, you're right. He doesn't know why black Americans vote Democrat, but black Americans have been through a lot, and we've been through a lot as well. So, on that note, just pay attention to governance wherever you are. Like, I came across, how did I come across it? I can't remember, but I was watching this Canada news source. It's called Rebel News, and I forget the name of the name of the person doing the presentation, the reporting. His name is Mr. Ezra Levant, and he was just talking about how in Scotland they have this guy who's the justice minister. He's Muslim, and he looks like he's from Pakistan or maybe of some kind of Arab background. And he's there, like somebody appointed him to become justice minister. So somebody gave him a break. But as soon as he got into this position, he was saying, basically Scotland is too white. And then I just said to myself, well, what was this guy thinking? Like, is he blind? Like, I personally couldn't live in a place like Scotland. So you have to kind of work with your environment. So are people in Scotland who are not Muslim and who aren't Pakistani, for example, or Arab, I don't know what his nationality is. I think it was Pakistani. And I wish I could bring this video up on my camera so you could see, but I'm trying to figure out how to do it. But you're in Scotland, so what else would you expect? It's a like 98% white or 99.9% white. So why are you talking to your constituents like that? And are they all supposed to all of a sudden conform to this Muslim bullshit or bull crap? And just kind of do whatever you tell them to do? Like, he's doing some pretty damaging thing. Like, I can't remember the name of the video. It said something like the guy's name, and he's trying to criminalize thoughts. And I said, criminalize thoughts? Like, what is that about? So I watched the video. But, I'm just saying that to say that, just pay attention to governance, because we're going through some serious problems in Canada. And I live in a demographic which would be considered Central Eastern Canada now. And I tell you, I really miss the western part of Canada that I was raised in. But I'm thankful that I was raised in that environment, because you really learn how to appreciate um, the position to just question things and pay attention to how these people talk about democracy and being democratic. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Canada, but we have a lot of problems. And this Omar Kandahar guy, like, I see him smirking here, he's laughing. But, I was reading that the American soldier that he killed, the wife is actually gonna ask him for $134 million American. So I'm like, right on. I wish I knew her name so I could email her and say, go for it. You've got my support. So on that note, thank you for watching my videos. If you have any comments, please do let me know. I don't censor anything. I don't care what kind of language you use. But I always try and learn from the comments. So on that note, have yourself a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you. Bye.